Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 18th day of June. Got a great finals here. Looks like it's going in the direction of the the OKC Thunder. Hey, listen, big story out of LA tonight. The Lakers will be sold. The majority of the majority shares of the team, majority stake of the organization, Jeanie Buss. Yes, that's correct. Jeanie Buss will sell the LA Lakers. It's a trend now. A lot of teams are selling. I'll talk about that. I thought I was going to have a guest here, and if he shows up, I'll bring him in. George Visker, former San Francisco 49er, played on the 1981 49er team, but he has not answered any of my messages today. I've invited George to come on the program, and he has. He's wanting to talk about his book called Facing the Giants, about his recovery from brain surgeries and whatnot. Hopefully I don't know what happened, but if he comes in at 30 minutes past the hour, we'll bring him in. If not, I've got other few things I wanted to cover here on the program. So stand by. We'll take our first and only break, not unless I've got to get George situated, but more than likely our first and only break. And I'll be back here shortly, and we will hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. It looks like we're back here live. And I want to say happy Wednesday to everybody. Got to talk about this. First. It's a big story. This is a historic organization. Listen, the Lakers, the Buss family's owned the Lakers, I want to say, since 1979, 1980-ish, going back to Dr. Buss with the Magic Group there. Remember the show, I've referenced it quite often, called Winning Time on HBO, talks about the building and construction of the Lakers organization with Dr. Buss, the Buss family. There was a woman portraying young lady at the time, Jeanie Buss, Dr. Buss's daughter, in that particular show with the Magic Johnson, Showtime Lakers. And, of course, they've owned them throughout the 80s, and, of course, with the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, and now up till today. Not too many people, that I even know of, not ESPN, not Fox, but me on this program, on the Real Sports Scope. I've mentioned time and time again, I felt like Jeanie Buss should sell the team. They've had 4 coaches in 4 years. It looks like LeBron's running the organization, not all the time, but at times. When you've got guys like JJ Redick getting hired, his podcast partner at one time or whatever, you're bringing in guys like that, bringing in players like Russell Westbrook on this team seemed like an all LeBron type of move there, bringing in Rich Paul and his group as agents. So Rob Pelinka, she hires Rob Pelinka, Kobe's former agent, although he's had some good moves, I have to say, for a former agent and a guy who has not a lot of background and actual general manager experience. They do have Luka on this team, per se. But I just kind of thought with the 4 coaches in the 4 years, the turbulence of the team, although with doing research before the program, they were turning a good profit of $199 million. You just get a sense that Jenny Buss senses her luck is going to run out, that the NBA is probably maxed out. And I looked this up too with these new contracts here, with these new TV contracts and whatnot. This is from Google AI. And this is stuff I've heard from other sports talk radio stations as well. NBA team owners are selling teams, doing the soaring franchise valuations. It's a lucrative time to cash out. Skyrocketed valuations have dramatically increased in recent years due to a combination of factors, including a $76 billion national TV deal, record attendance, and strong partnership revenue. It's turning more into a global sport, although nationally the ratings have been down as of recently. I thought that this is probably the peak here. And you want to say, well, who is this guy that bought the team? It's a slick investor, is what I want to say. This guy's name is Mark Walter. His group, and he's only worth about $6 billion. The Lakers are valued at $10 billion. The reports are, now they're early, this could change. Her majority stake in this organization sold for $7.1 billion. This is a big day in sports here. They're one of the big, anything bigger than this would be the Dallas Cowboys. They're the most expensive evaluation, according to Forbes magazine, in all of sports in the world, not just the country. The Lakers are right up there with one of the higher value brands in all of sports, along with the New York Knicks. And I want to say one of the Premier League teams in MLS soccer with the New York Yankees are up there, probably in the top 5, just as I simply mentioned it. But this is I want to make sure and give this website, Marca, and of course ESPN are the sources I'm reading off of. Sean Sharamani, everybody's reporting on this, but Jenny Buss, controlling owner, has reportedly agreed to sell the majority stakes to this guy, Mark Walter. Again, this guy also owns the LA Dodgers. The deals would be for $7.1 billion, a record in professional sports. Mark Walter is emerging as a central figure in the evolution of the modern sports ownership. Again, through the Guggenheim partners, to use his multi-franchise strategy and philanthropy. Okay, so this guy also owns the Dodgers, the Sparks, and whatnot. So he's got a trifecta going here. And then I just mentioned somebody like a Jenny Buss, who seems, and I've said this for the last few years now, I've liked Jenny Buss. She's great in interviews, but nobody else will call it out. She seems to change her mind on a drop of a dime. Remember hiring Magic Johnson, I want to say, for like a general manager, had no experience. Magic walked out, didn't say. So it was more of she deals with friends and stuff and people close to the family rather than who's best for the organization. And she's lucked out and not really lost a lot of money. They're one of the highest profited organizations out there in the NBA at $199 million in 2023. Of course, we haven't got the 24 numbers in because we're still in the 24 season. But you just get a sense that this guy's, if you're a Lakers fan, you got Luka, maybe they could do something with LeBron. They need to move off LeBron right now. To me personally, I would try to find a way, build around Luka. If the dude can come into shape, which I think he will, if he don't come into shape now, he's never going to be in shape. But this guy, Mark Walter, I think he's going to run it more like a business. I think he's going to lean more into analytics. This person, writer off the X app here, Noah Camaras said Walter bought the the Dodgers back in 2012 with a group of investors. This guy's not even purchasing it out of his own pocket. So it tells me he's slick and he knows what he's doing. Back in 2012, they've had 12 of 12 postseason appearances every single year, 11 NL titles, 4 World Series appearances, 2 World Series wins, 1 last year, and they got the most exciting guy in baseball, one of the greatest players in baseball history, and a team-friendly deal, and Shohei Ohtani, the best two-way player that we've seen probably in our lifetime, maybe since Babe Ruth, maybe better than Babe Ruth, who knows? So now, is he biting off more than he can chew? I don't know. I don't think so. I think this is good for the Laker fan base. It may be bad for people like LeBron, who's wanting to call the shots and whatnot. It may be bad for them, but I think this is going to be a very good thing. And again, unlike many of the other sports guys, that's why I'm going to be the best. I'm having a little hard time now. I had some financial issues and hadn't been able to do this program 5 nights a week, and it shows I'm a little rusty here and there. But I said I thought she should sell the team. She's selling the team. What else does this mean? I read that other thing about, got that off the Google AI, about the $76 billion TV deal coming in. I want to say it's like 10, 12 years or something. You've got the NBA TV rights and whatnot scattered throughout streaming with Amazon and who else? Oh, God, NBC, ABC. It's really spread out this year. Michael Jordan's going to be a part of the league. But listen, this has been a big thing. Mark Cuban sold back in December of 23. And before that, Michael Jordan sold the Charlotte Hornets. So I get a sense, and that this is just me, that these teams are worth a lot of money. There are some teams that are making money. A lot of teams are losing money. Even though they're making money, they're spending a lot of money. They're spending a lot of money on contracts and whatnot. I don't know, tax issues, not really selling out. They're making good money, but they're also spending a lot of money. Not a lot of – I remember Jay-Z a few years ago said he sold back his share of the New Jersey Nets because he wasn't making any money, you know? So I think that a lot of people are just cashing out. I mean, they're looking at this and they're saying this might not be this good because the ratings are down locally, but it is doing well globally. And I actually like the product, contrary to what others may say. Of what it's looking like now. I like what the finals look like. We've had some bad playoff series, but I want to say the second round was really good when you had Denver go 7 games with OKC. But this looks like probably a good move. I know it's a little bit of a shocker for Laker fans. Most fans, the ones that are looking at this from not an emotional or a nostalgia standpoint, are saying this is a good deal. This is good. This guy runs a tight ship. He's successful with the Dodgers. Maybe he can be successful with the Lakers, which are probably still the biggest brand in town, although the Dodgers are creeping up on them since they've been playing well. So interesting take there with this team. Now, as far as the actual finals are concerned, when I came on this program, what was it, Thursday, right? Yeah, last week. Thursday before the program, I said, listen, I thought, although down 2-1, I thought the OKC Thunder would win last Thursday night. Well, it might have been Wednesday night. I can't remember. I think it was Wednesday. Win last Wednesday night. And then I said, I thought that they would win the next 3. Well, I was right about 2 of the 3. They went on and won that game. Tough game there. Won a tougher game on that was a tough game on Friday night. They were down 2-1. I said that I thought they'd win Friday night. That's what it was. And then, of course, Monday night went up, and now they're up 3-2. Now Halliburton, I think he's got like a strained calf. They're saying that widely reported, including Rick Carlisle, they're preparing to play him without the guy. And when it goes back to Indianapolis tomorrow night, this is playing out just about the way that I thought it would, per se. And this guy, George Visker, I don't think he's going to show up. So the show must go on. But listen, folks, the Thunder, they're the better team. They're the deeper team. Was it Jalen Williams the other night? 40 points there, putting it on there. Role players play better at home. Team had home court advantage. They had the best record in the NBA. Elite defensive team. Playing, they're a much better team per se, if you look at it from a season standpoint, but the Pacers are playing at a very, very high level coming into this series. That's why I said I thought that this thing would go 6. It looks like it's probably going to go 6. Maybe they have an unsung hero. Somebody shoots the lights out, Nimrod or somebody. Turner has a game. Siakam has 50 points. Something crazy happens, and they send the game back to OKC on Game 7. That'd be interesting. I'd like to see a Game 7, but I also like to be right. And I believe I will tomorrow night. This game will be over, and the Thunder will be the champions, And then we're set up for a big offseason, a lot of movement. I've been reading that there possibly may be some movement there with the Jaylen Brown, with the Giannis, but it's all rumors right now. Durant is going to get moved. We don't know where, for what price, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not giving a whole lot of draft capital for a guy that's 37 years old. I'm sorry, not a Kevin Durant who was hurt all the time. There's no bleeping way. And then still got to extend him 2 years to pay him $100 million more. So we'll see how that thing plays out. But it looks like, as far as championship-wise, looks like I'm going to be spot on here. Hate that about Halliburton. Still think that their window's there. I know they're probably, them being in the Pacers, probably going to lose Turner, but we'll see how that works out. Still have plenty of time to discuss that one. Okay. Man, there's so much to get to. I got thrown off here. I don't know what happened. I'll cut this guy some slack. I'm supposed to have guests, George Visker, come on 25 minutes past the hour. Former 49er, played defensive tackle on the team that won the Super Bowl during a year with Montana when Dwight Clark made the miraculous reception there. But he says he's had brain injuries and whatnot. Wrote a book called Facing the Giants, going to come out in July on Amazon. But he says he has forgetful problems, and I think he forgot that he had an interview today. Sent him a message this morning. I'll cut the guy some slack here for not being able to make this interview, but that's okay. There's a lot I wanted to talk about. You all know that I'm constantly harping on and complaining about the fact that there's just too much of a drought. We're coming up at the end of the NBA season, folks, where we're a good 8 weeks away, 7-8 weeks, good 7-8 weeks away from college football. Then, of course, the NFL starts the very next week, the week after Labor Day weekend. But you got the NBA draft coming up here in a couple of weeks. But look at it from this perspective. The NBA season is probably going to be over tomorrow, 19th, which is Juneteenth there. And then you look at July 19th, August 19th. Yes, you'll have some preseason NFL football. That's 2 months, about 8 weeks, about 10 weeks there before you get real solid football where you got the college game start, and there's a big dead period there because there's no baseball there that means of any significant I don't want to say significant relevance because it does, but I'm saying there's no sense of urgency with baseball. That's why I said that the baseball season should start late February, early March instead of late March, early April. And the playoffs, the pennant races should all be in July when we're concentrating on every single game. The regular season should end around July 31st, August through maybe the 5th, something like that, in case you have snow games or rainouts or whatnot, and you get one night you got to make up some games. Then the playoffs will start early to mid-August, and then by late August, early September, you'll have the World Series instead of October, November. You'll have more meaningful sports there in that gap. So that's not happening. The NBA hasn't pushed back their season to make their finals go into July or August, but that happened as well. So my point is that gap may be filled this year. This Caitlin Clark stuff, first game back against New York on Saturday. She comes back from a quad injury of her own, and she comes out like gangbusters, hitting 7 3-pointers. Now, this was against the New York team that was undefeated, that beat them earlier this season. I want to say it was the game where she got injured, if I'm not mistaken. Comes out, scores 32, 9 and 8, practically a triple-double, 7 3-pointers, and they get the win. And I'll tell you what, they were walking her in there gingerly, the coaching staff I'm talking about, walking her in there slowly, gingerly, played about 2 or 3 minutes, pulled her back out of the game, and subconsciously, because I recorded the game, I'm looking at, Clark is out? Bzzz, I'm fast forwarding it through the thing, man. I mean, that tells you how much 58%, depending on which article you read, audience drop-off since she was out. But it's very interesting. So they went on and won that game. That was on Saturday. Tonight is Wednesday. Last night, their next game on Tuesday, they played the Connecticut Sun. And there's so much jealousy of Caitlin Clark. There's so much resentment. There's so much resentment towards her very physical, competitive style of play. Watch this play right here. This happened in the Connecticut Sun game last night, and this causes a big buzz on the internet. Listen up. I hope I get the right one. No, that one. Here's Caitlin Clark getting what it looked like a direct poke in the eye. Let me make sure and get this lady's name right. This is JC Seldom poking her in the eye, which looked like a routine play, but it didn't look routine to me. Check this out.
To be there for her teammate, but this is excessive.
It looked like it was an accident when J.C. Sheldon originally hit Caitlin Clark, but then it was the aftermath of which looked a little bit intentional.
Yes. Oh, without a doubt. J.C. to be there for her teammate, but this is excessive.
It looked like it was an accident when J.C. Sheldon.
Who plays defense like this? Nobody plays defense like that, not unless you're the Three Stooges. Hey, Mo. Shut up. So anyways, she gets poked in the eye. I guess the foul's called and whatnot. Fast forward, teammate gets a little bit of puts a foul on the same player. Then that's when the bench is clear. This so reminds me of Larry Bird getting a cheap shot put on him by Bill Laimbeer back in the 80s. This was in a documentary about the Pistons and the Celtics back in the day. Watch this reaction here. This is when things get rowdy.
That's a flagrant foul. It's a hard foul. You could say it's a play on the ball, but
no question, the will get upgraded.
Yeah, no question.
2 arms above the shoulders. And again, intent is not part of this rule. Cunningham.
It's the security that are getting in to break it up, not the officials.
That's Andy Arnold down there, who does a terrific job on the facility side. Trying to break up the action.
And that looked like, for some of you older audiences, Robert Parrish getting revenge, which is the big man back in the day for the Celtics, getting revenge for Larry Bird against big man for the Pistons, Bill Laimbeer. Now, of course, that wouldn't. That stuff's interesting. That caused a big buzz on the internet last night. I've been telling you all that the ratings for this thing is 2.1 to 2.5 million. This is higher ratings than some NBA regular season games because the NBA is going against the NFL, and it's not good. Now, the playoffs are much more, 7-8 million, which is still way down for the finals. But very interesting stuff there. You hope it don't get too far out of hand, but that looked like a Bush League play. Poked her in the eye. I love the fact that Clark's, again, going back to the Angel Reese thing, I love the fact that Clark's teammates are taking her back. They can see that she's a target here. She's getting way too much attention. She's playing too good. She's only in her second year. And that's why they're winning, too. You could see the team chemistry. Her teammates are catching her back. Like I said before, I'm looking at whenever they're playing, CBS or whatever, find out what time they're playing. I'm recording that game. It's fun basketball. It's a dead time of year. We're coming into the heat of summer. Basketball's rattling down. The NBA, good call for the WNBA to be playing during this time. And also to help fill the void. Not a lot of people are talking about this, but the big three Ice Cubes League, who I've talked about a few times on this program, they have been, their ratings have been creeping up. They got a CBS contract with Paramount and whatnot. They're a travel round league, but now they're starting to add bigger names, much more well-known names. Guys that are known, famous and infamous, I guess. Guys like Lance Stevenson have come in. Big names like Dwight Howard has started playing. Made his debut in the Big Three on Saturday, and Lance Stevenson and Howard got into it. This was also trending Saturday afternoon. Not that one. Now, listen, I'm not one of these people that just wants to watch the games for a fight. Some hockey games are pretty good. It's a little more interesting when there is a little bit of a scuffle sometimes in a hockey game that's 0-0 through 3 periods, or watching a big NASCAR race or whatever. It is get a little interesting when there's a wreck, but you hope nobody gets hurt or killed or whatnot. People will say, "What, do you just watch stuff because it's Bush League?" No. For both the WNBA and of course the Ice Cube's Big Three League, my point is both of these are serious competitive games where you're getting a lot of trash talking, you're getting a lot of jiving going back and forth. I think that makes the game more intriguing. Unlike a lot of the regular season basketball in the NBA, where it looks like the players are kind of melted in. They're going about 40-50% speed. Not a lot of defense played, kind of like in the All-Star game, where it looks dreadful to watch. These games They got hand checking. They're very physical. The buzz about the big three, a lot of people didn't think it was going to make it. Remember, they had the year where they had to cancel it, like a lot of stuff during COVID. This started in 2017, the same year I started SportsScope. Back in May of that year, in the summer of that year, Ice Cube got the big three going. Wasn't sure if it was going to make it. I liked it from day one, bringing in former players, retired players, and the players each year since 2017, those players have gotten better and better, more and more known. Players now, like I said, with guys like Lance Stevenson and, of course, Dwight Howard. Joe Johnson's played in this league. I think it's great for the summer. Like Ice Cube said, the summer can be awfully boring sometimes. The other leagues have not paying attention. This is good real estate, and I think this Caitlin Clark is helping shows like mine, and I think the big three, a lot of people don't talk about that. I think it keeps players. I would love to see maybe a LeBron go to the big three. Kevin Durant's, his career winding down. Love to see him in the big three. Same thing with guys like Kyrie Irving. Couldn't you love to see that crossover? So it's going to be fun to watch. I think that's going to be the two teams that played in the big three that Howard and the opposing team that Stevenson played on. They could be meeting again in the playoffs. So that makes it interesting. My only knock on the big three is they redraft the whole team every year. I think maybe they can keep one player and draft two, or keep two and draft one. Kind of keep some consistency on teams and whatnot. But either way, it's an interesting void to fill in the summertime. Can't wait to see what Caitlin Clark's going to do next in that league. And, of course, the big three is ever growing. Names getting bigger and bigger and bigger, making a heck of a lot more interesting and spicing up the summertime. Okay, 7:32. This guy just totally forgot that we had an interview set up. And like I said, George has had some issues. He was supposed to be on the program here, and has not got back to me. It's all good. Okay. A few stories I wanted to get to. I know I put that story about the Colts owner. I may have to get to that one tomorrow, folks. I was looking at that. A lot of crazy stuff with ownership here in the last, I don't know, different teams. You know, the Lakers are no longer owned by Jenny Buss. Mark Cuban no longer owns the Dallas Mavericks. That's interesting. Going back a few years, that was a very intense rival there for a little while when the late Shaq and Kobe days, and then you had Dirk Nowitzki there. But anyways, the owner, Jim Irsay, passed away. Rest in peace. Seemed like a pretty cool guy as a person. Little erratic as an owner, but his daughter, I want to say, who owns the team, is about my age, 43, 44 years old, wanting to listen in. I guess I could get this now. I don't really have to go too much into this, my research with that story, but she wants to listen in on the headset. I wanted to get a picture of her and put it up here, but I thought to myself, I don't know why these owners, these newly acquired owners that inherit these teams from their parents or whatever, but a lot of them are insecure people, even though they're born on third base. Doesn't really have to work for nothing, but they still like to see their names online. They like to see their name in the paper for whatever reason back in the day when it was a paper. And I don't know why that she has a feel the need to want to listen. She said she want to hear and make sure that not there being BS on the play calls. So you got to wonder, if you ask this lady, this young woman that owns that owns the Colts. You got a pretty good coach there in Shane Steichen. Ballard's a pretty good general manager. I think they missed on Anthony. Oh, there's George right there. He did show. He did hear me. Okay. Wasn't sure if my man got my message there, but apparently he did, and he is here. Let me go ahead and bring in the former 49er folks who has got a book coming out, I want to say in July, if I'm not mistaken here, coming out in July called Facing the Giants here. So let's bring up my man here, but I got to get George Fisker. How you doing, man? Can you hear me? I think you got me on mute. Let me see if I got you here. Okay, I think George is having some. Okay, yeah, take it off mute. Can you hear me, George? Well, I can't hear you, though. Let's see. George is going through the yeah, you'll probably have to come back on. I can't hear you, man. Let me see. Let's kick you back here. Just try to do some adjustments with your microphone and just let me know, and I'll bring you back up. I still can see you behind stage. So I'm going to put George, kick back here. Okay. Let's see if George can come back. And George, just come back on the program, and I'll bring you back up, and you click on the link when you feel like you can hear on the microphone there. We'll do a mic check there. George seems like a really good guy there. Let me read over some more information. I thought listen, George was in the Super Bowl in 1981. 1981. Well, he was on that team. He had got injured that year. George Fisker, he had gotten injured that year's defensive tackle there at the age of 23. But he was on the 49ers. He was not drafted by the 49ers. I want to say, when we go back and look at his notes here, they sent me a bunch of notes. Graduated 19. Man, he's had a lot of brain surgeries. Grew up in Stockton, California. 5 of 6 kids. He sent me all kinds of stuff here. Played at Colorado from 76 to 79. Played in the 77 Orange Bowl. 3-year starter, defensive tackle, Regiment Award winner, 6th-round pick with the Jets there, Carlos, Mad New Yorker. Back in 1980, cut and picked up by the Niners, 5th game versus Dallas. But he got concussed on the first play, multiple swelling, salts. That's what they did back in them days. Smelling salts. Don't remember playing a game versus the Rams the following week. Developed a hydrocephalus. Hold on, let's see if George is back here. Hey, George, can you hear me? Can you turn your volume up a little bit? I can hear you a little bit, but I don't know. Man, I still can't hear you, buddy. I'm sorry, man. Are you doing it on a phone or a computer? Yeah, there's something on your computer. I think it's mute somewhere. The volume's low or something, man. Let's see. Yeah, just keep messing with it, and I'll keep you on here. I was just going over your resume here, trying to see if there's anything I can do for his. No, it says you're not muted. And my camera's turned up and everybody can hear me. Yeah, I don't know if you want to try to come back again. Log out, buddy. Well, you look good, man. From everything you're telling me and all this stuff, you look pretty good. It looks like, George has been through hell and high water. With his brain surgeries and whatnot. And he's got this book called, and I will order this, by the way. It's on Amazon, going to be in July, right? coming up later on this year. Want to ask you a little bit about all this stuff, but it's unfortunate I can't hear you, buddy. The audience can't hear you. But we will definitely, if I have to, bring you back on the program, and just let me know, because it looks like you got a very motivational story here. It's supposed to be by early July will be available to order hardcover and paperback at Amazon, Barnes & Noble's various bookstores. And George has also got a website, George Visger, VISGER.com. So I guess you can hear me. I wish I can hear you, man. Have you, do you just want to come back again at another time? You want to try the phone? Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to kick you off and then try to come back in. So he's going to try to come back on, folks. George seems like a really nice guy. I tell you what, we've got about 19 minutes, folks. Just reading his information, he seems like a perseverer. You know, all these brain surgeries, all these injuries that he's went through. George grew up a very poor. This guy he's a survivor, man. And you know, you guys know how I like to talk about these motivational stories. I ask him if this is spirituality that got him through all this stuff. You know, but like I said, I mean, he grew up Stockton, 5 or 6 kids, a 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom, no air conditioner, 1,000 square foot house. Very similar. Let's see if he can hear me now. Hey, George.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, that's great, man.
All righty, here we go.
Man, you look good. You look good. I was just telling the audience, I'm glad you can hear me. You've kind of been through hell and hot water in your life.
It's been a crazy ride, to put it lightly.
Yeah, but hey, man, I gave your introduction already. I wanted to ask you, what's the reason for writing this book?
Well, it's a crazy story because it didn't start out as a book. I live for 40-something years. I live in these write in the rain notebooks, right? I mean, all day long, I have to write down literally what I do, who I speak to. Every day of my life, they're in these things, okay? And then when I finish one, I'll write on the cover, like what day it goes to, what day, and then each day highlights, right? And so I got so sick of every time I saw a doctor, you know, I'd filling out the forms, and it's like, okay, I had my first concussion when I was 13 years old, knocked unconscious in Pop Warner, you know, this surgery, that surgery, you know, I've got 15, 16 surgeries. So then one day I decided, you know, I'm just going to write down everything and have
because you couldn't remember all this stuff, George.
Oh, I mean, no. And so I just thought I'll pre-write it.
Yeah.
And every time I see a doctor, they can just staple it to the back of my intake form, right?
Okay.
So I started writing stuff down. I was like, oh yeah, my first you know, concussion, 3rd year Pop Warner. We won the championship and played in the Gold Nugget Bowl. And then as all my injuries, I started putting things around them. And all of a sudden I had like 25 pages. I go, gosh, that's the beginning of a book. So it just kept going.
Yeah.
And literally years ago, I had 510 pages that I sent to publishers, and they said, what a story, but it's way too long, you know? And so I had to really chop and whittle. And then, of course, my case hadn't settled yet either. They said there's no ending to it. So once we settled it, then I worked with Susan December of Silver Script Productions, an awesome producer, publisher. And we've got the book dialed in. It starts off with my upbringing in Stockton, California. Yeah. You know, 5 to 6 kids, 2-bedroom, one
upbringing. That's hard. Is that why did you want to play football? Where did your motivation come from?
Well, I'm the 5th to 6 kids, and there's 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters. Both my older brothers went on and played college ball. Okay. And in the Visger household, being tough was like, so growing up, my oldest brother's 10 years older than me, and he took upon himself to make me tough, right? Yeah. We laugh about it to this day. Yeah. How he would slap me around. I'm going, Gomez, you had like 10 years on me. Come on, man. You know, he goes, I know. then my other brother Mel was 4 years older, and we used to box and just, everything was competitive.
Yeah.
And as a little kid, I was always very focused and driven to be the best. I always wanted to be the best in everything, whether it was in reading, third grade class. I wanted to be the first one to finish the problems, and with my brothers, it was very competitive. And so as I grew up, I wanted to be better than them. I loved them. My older brother played in the Junior Rose Bowl with Sacramento State University back in the late 60s. And my other brother Mel was just a beast. He wanted to play college ball. I wanted to be better than them.
Man, you guys must have ran across O.J. Simpson, didn't you, at some point?
Well, O.J. played at the Niners. His last year was the year before I got there. He was 79.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe in the college years, being up from Stockton area.
You know what? Never played against him.
Your brothers never did either?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just finishing rewatching that documentary on O.J. Simpson. It's great, man. That Made in America.
Yeah, what a story, huh? Man.
So you mentioned something. So let's go back to when you first got hurt. You get drafted out of Colorado. You go to the NFL, which is also – that's a great feat in its own. You were actually drafted. You went to the Jets. You get cut. You picked up by the 49ers. You said in this message here, you got a concussion, but you do not remember anything the next day that you actually played. Tell us about that. What happened there?
So, I was drafted by the Jets. My big goal, I wanted to go in the first round. And back then there were 12 rounds. So I went in the 6th round and it just made it. I went to the Jets and I was competing against I was defensive end. I was competing against Joe Klecko, who's now in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Gastineau, who ended up setting sack records that next year. Marty Lyons was their first round pick the year ahead of me. They had some stud linemen,
It's pretty deep there, wasn't it?
And so anyway, I got cut into preseason, and the Niners picked me up about the 5th game of the season.
This Dallas, yeah.
And back then, I had no idea that once the season started, it was just every week they're cutting guys and bringing new guys in.
Yeah.
I figured the final cut day meant final cut day, right? And so they traded Baltimore for a veteran defensive tackle. He played 2 weeks. They cut him, bring me in. And it was a short week, if I remember correctly. We were playing on like a Saturday. And so the way it works in the NFL is you play games on Sunday. Mondays are a light workout, get treatments, there's meetings, and Tuesdays are the days off. Well, Tuesdays are the days they bring guys in to work out. So when you come to practice on Wednesday, we made like 26 roster changes my rookie year after the final cut day.
Man.
So every week there's 1 or 2 guys gone. You're looking around going, man, where's Paul and Mike? Some new guys here. So it was always hanging over your head.
A lot of movement in it. Yeah.
So they cut this guy, bring me in. It's a short week. So I just have Wednesday, Thursday to practice. Friday we fly to Dallas. And they give me a real skinny playbook. Just learn the basics.
Yeah.
And I was pumped because I started one preseason game when I was at the Jets against the Steelers, and then got cut. So this is my first real game, right?
You had to be hyped, man.
Preseasons don't count; those aren't real games.
Yeah.
So I'm in early first quarter. I'm playing defensive tackle. It's a goal line. Dallas is I don't know what yard they're on. Anyway, very first play I'm in, I got get ear hold on a Dallas tight end trap. Don't remember that game. Don't remember playing the Rams the following week.
Man.
A week and a half or so
they're
later.
giving you smelling salts.
Well, yeah. So a week and a half later, the trainers and doctors are laughingly telling me I went through 15 or 20 smelling salts during the Dallas game.
Yeah.
I'd come off sideways, clear your head, go back in. It was a joke back then. Got your bell rung.
No, it's very serious. Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, I played the rest of the day. They actually cut me and it brought me back. I was gone for a couple of weeks. They brought me back, played the rest of the season. And my rookie year when I was drafted by the Jets, and I started lifting weights when I was in 7th grade when I played on my first Pee Wee Pop Warner team.
Okay.
My goal was to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
And so when I got drafted, I was like 255. Maybe that was the biggest I'd ever been. And I started 3 years in Colorado. And so after the mini camp, the defensive line coach takes me off to the side and says, we really like what we see. If you can put on 20 or 25 pounds of muscle before camp starts, there's a place for you here, son. And I'm looking at him going, it took me 4 years of college to put on 20 pounds of muscle. He kind of gives me his little winks like, you know what to do, boy.
Oh, man, you have to do something illegal,
Yeah, and it wasn't illegal then. I mean, I don't even know how they push you to do it, so and I'm not proud of it, but I got on the roids for like 6 weeks and I came back to camp at 275, put on 20 pounds. I was benching 460. I was already benching about 440 before. I was in good shape,
Yeah.
And
now you'd be an end at 255, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And edge rusher.
Right. And then, and I didn't lose any speed. Not that I was blazing, but I ran a 4.9, which was decent. And in the preseason, they still cut me. And I'm thinking, man, first of all, what did I do anything to my body? And so anyway, the Niners picked me up, and I'm playing a lot heavier that year than I'd ever played.
Yeah.
So play the rest of the season with 49ers. I think we go like 8-8. We're mediocre, 6-10, something like that. So in the off season, I dropped about 16 pounds. I got down to like 259. Didn't lose any speed, any strength. Up my speed. I was in the greatest shape of my life. And I come back to camp because we were really hurting for pass rush my rookie year. And our pass defense was horrendous. And so that year was the year we drafted Ronnie Lott, Eric Wright, and Carlton Williamson. So we had 3 rookie DBs starting.
They were ballers.
Which is unheard of. And they kicked butt. And then we brought in Fred Dean. When I had my first brain surgery, they ended up signing Fred Dean from San Diego.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the missing piece. All of a sudden, we had this hellacious defense. And the offense could always put points on the board.
Right.
And
did you think Montana was special then? Just by watching him in practice?
No, I'll tell you why. Because, first of all, I never liked quarterbacks.
You couldn't hit them in practice anyway.
Even my own, they had little red jerseys. You couldn't touch them in practice. I mean, they put little tutus on them, and everyone else could get this. Everyone could get the snot knocked out of them. But heaven forbid if you breathe on the quarterback.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Bill Solomon, quarterback at Colorado. I love Bill to this day. I still love. I love you, Bill.
One of the best.
But you know what? So I don't know. I never really paid much attention to him. And I know, like my rookie year when I came in '80, Steve DeBerg was still starting. This was Montana's second season.
Yeah.
And then late in my rookie year in '80, they put Montana in, started him the last few games of the season, and then they got rid of DeBerg in the offseason. So '81 was the first full season Montana started. And we go 14-2, went to playoffs, take the Super Bowl. I mean, his first year starting. So he was something special. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong.
So you were injured at that point during the playoffs when they played the Dallas in the immaculate or the catch game.
Yeah, that was actually that put us in the big game. So I blew my knee out early in the year, had knee surgery,
right,
and was coming back off of that when I started having all kinds of symptoms with my head. Balls of light in front of each eyeball, pounding headaches every night, projectile vomiting. I'd lose my hearing when I had these headaches. So I go see the team docs, these guys were clowns.
Yeah.
And they tell me it's high blood pressure. So I'm on high blood pressure pills for 2.5 weeks when my brain's hemorrhaging.
Man.
And finally, the last night I have focal point paralysis. My arm curls up with my fist up underneath my chin.
Yeah.
I'm losing my hearing, my eyesight. My head's pounding. I'm rooming with 2 guys in the team, Terry Totolo and Scott Stouch.
Okay.
And we had played Chicago that day, and I hadn't played because I was on injury reserve with my knee surgery. And And they kept checking on me all night, man. Just let's take you to the hospital. Yeah, you know, I'm good. It's high blood pressure. I'm eating these high blood pressure pills. And 2 minutes later, they're rolling around the bottom of the bowl, you know, puking. And so finally, about 4:30 in the morning, I don't know what time it was, man, I'm laying there. I'm losing my eyesight. I'm losing my hearing. My head's ready to explode. And then my arm does this it's known as focal point paralysis. I found it afterwards. It curls up under my chin, and I grab my arm. I'm laying in bed thinking, man, that's a weird cramp. But when I grabbed this arm, I couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
And so I pulled it out, and whenever I'd let go, it would just curl back up and do one of these. So now I'm laying in bed. I'm praying. I'm thinking, okay, God, I'm dying. Don't let me die like this. So I'm thinking, okay, if Terry or Scott comes in to check on me, I'll let him take me to the hospital. But I'm not going to be a pussy and go wake him up. I mean, you know, that's the mentality.
That's that mentality, ain't it?
Yeah. And so I finally pass out. I don't know what time it was, you know, 5 or whatever. And so the days after games, you know, we go in the locker room, I don't know, 8 o'clock or whatever, you know. And so I get up in the morning. I could move my hand, but I could barely lift a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And so we go in, and all the injured players, you get treatment on your injuries. Anyone that got dinged in the game gets treatment. The docs are in the locker room. You know, there's a couple light meetings, break a sweat, and you're out of there. And now I'm pissed because I know these freaking idiot doctors, you know, they're telling me it's high blood pressure. And I mean, I'm 22 years old. I know it's not high blood pressure. So I wait till Dr. Bailing, our orthopedic surgeon, whose nickname was Dr. D for Dr. Doom. And this was before 3 of my teammates from that season successfully won malpractice suits against him. This is before he ever even lost a suit.
Yeah.
He already had a reputation for just.
Yeah, I'm curious of when you actually found out that was a concussion.
Well, they never told me it was a concussion. This day, they never told me. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have amnesia for a week and a half. You don't remember playing the following week. I mean.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, I go on. I wait till he saw everybody that got dinged during the game. He had a little office in the locker room, and I walk in. He looks at me. He says, "What now?" And I says, "You SOB." I said, "Don't tell me it's high blood pressure. My arm went paralyzed last night." And he rolls his eyes. He tells me to sit on the table. He grabs a little retinoscope, those little flashlights to look in your eye with, you know. And this is how my book starts. This is the first sentence.
Okay.
He looks in my eye, and here's the first sentence. "Oh my God, your brain's hemorrhaging." I jump off the table, ready to kill him. He's going, no, wait. And I'm going off on him.
Yeah.
He starts scrambling. He grabs a phone. He's calling a couple numbers. He scribbles a number on a piece of paper, hands it to me. And this is where my story turns into a comedy. He hands me a piece of paper. He says, "Here, go home, lay down, and drive yourself down to Stanford Hospital and see this neurologist this afternoon."
Dang.
So my first thought was, oh man, it must be one of those mild brain hemorrhages where he would have called an ambulance.
No,
so
God.
I look back on it now.
Yeah.
It was giving them time to regroup and go, okay, we screwed up on Visger. So I go back to my apartment that I share with Terry Totolo and Scott Stouch. And both of those guys, they cut while I'm in intensive care with my brain surgery. Okay. They disappeared.
Yeah.
The only ones on the team to know what was going on. So I go back, lay down, and my symptoms would be I'd wake up in the morning with a pounding headache. It would get worse and worse. And by the afternoon, I'd start puking my guts out. And I told the docs, when I puke, I said, I could hit the bowl from like 20 yards away and chip porcelain. Well, that's known as projectile vomiting. That's a classic sign of intracranial pressure. Okay.
Yeah.
So I go back, lay down. That afternoon, I drive through Bay Area traffic to Stanford Hospital to see this neurologist. He takes one look at me. They want to do a CT brain scan.
Yeah.
I said, "Hey, doc," they couldn't get me in for like an hour or so. I said, and Stanford was about, 30 minutes from where I was living.
And you was driving yourself?
Oh, yeah. In Bay Area.
Wow, this is crazy, man.
Isn't it? So it gets crazy.
Yeah.
Believe me, this is just the beginning of 38 years of crazy. Okay. So he goes, he couldn't get me in for another hour and a half. And I said, "Hey, doc, I'm getting close to my puking time. I'll come back." And he says, "You drove here?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You can't drive like this." I said, "I've been driving like this for weeks." He goes, "We're putting you in a room." I'm arguing. I don't need a damn room. They convinced me to hang out in a room. Hour and a half later, take me in, do a CT brain scan, rush me in, do emergency brain surgery.
Yeah.
So I had developed hydrocephalus, water on the brain,
Okay.
from my concussions. And so they had to drill a hole in my skull, which they moved it 4 times. So I had 4 different holes.
Okay.
There's a tube goes in the middle of my brain. They ran a tube under the skin to the back of my head. There's a pump behind my right ear. From that pump, there's a tube goes down the side of my neck, through my pec, into my abdomen. Right now, as we're speaking, it's draining spinal fluid out of my head.
Okay.
So they do emergency brain surgery. The 49ers go, oh, shit.
Right.
Let's make sure this doesn't get out. So I'm in intensive care for 14 days. 0 people from the facility come to see me, not even my position coach.
Yeah.
One day a woman comes in, hey, like we're friends. Hi, George. Hey, going on and on. Bill bought you this. And I go, Bill who? She goes, oh, Bill Walsh. And this is what she says. She goes, she passed my arm. She goes, Bill Walsh, do you remember him? Remember him, your coach? I said, yeah, I remember him. I said, I may be brain damaged. It's not stupid. Yeah. Walsh buys me a Sony Walkman, which at the time I thought was, God, how classy. Well, he did it because he didn't have the balls to come in and see me at the neurosurgery ward at Stanford because people would ask questions. Yeah. So the only other people from the facility that come to see me were my 2 roommates, Terry Totolo, who I found living under an underpass in 2011 after a 9-year NFL career. You can Google Visitor Totolo Channel 13 News and see this heartbreaking story. Okay. And then Scott Stouch was a rookie running back so those guys were coming in to see me saying, well, Walsh got up in front of the team and said you had a spinal test done. You're in Stockton recuperating at your parents' house. Because I grew up in Stockton, California, which is only about 2 hours from San Francisco. Yeah. And I'm laying there going, well, what is, even my position coach never came to see me. Yeah, I should have been his guy, Yeah. And so while I'm laying in intensive care, the Niners, the team doctors and the trainers are calling me, telling me, hey, Visk, we're looking to having a special main helmet to protect your shunt. You can keep playing. Yeah. I'm all in. I mean, that's the player's mentality. Hey, cut my legs off. I'm still playing. Right. So by the time I get out 2 weeks later, I come back to the facility. I go back to Stockton for like a week to get back on my feet. And I come back, and everyone's like, what the hell happened to you, Visk? We thought they cut you. I said, no, I didn't cut me. I had brain surgery. So all of a sudden, things aren't, they're treating me weird. And I'm thinking it's just in my head. Now, of course, in my head now, I've got a bunch of tubes and pumps too, so that may have screwed things up. Wow. So I'm thinking they're covering up something, but it's like, what? So we're in the weight room one day. Now the season's progressing and we're rolling. They don't want anything rocking the boat. Man, we're winning. And it's late in the season, and I'm just like, man, I just feel like I would feel better if the story got out. And then so we're in the weight room working out one day, and 3 business couples came through touring the facilities, 3 husband and wife. And John McVay, our general manager, introduced them to players, Okay. This is Keith Von Horst, one of our, offensive tackles. This is Joe Montana, our quarterback.
You said John McVay. Is that Sean McVay's uncle or grandfather, wasn't it?
I believe it is, yeah. Yeah. And so he goes, this is George Visker, one of our veteran defensive linemen. He's on injury reserve. He had 2 knee operations. And this woman looks me in the eye. She goes, 2? How'd you have 2? And I said, no, ma'am, I had knee surgery and I had brain surgery. McVay looks me right in the eye with a look like, shut your mouth or you're out of here. He says, no brain surgery. You had 2 knee operations. And now I know I'm not like getting paranoid.
So you later sold you sued the organization and the NFL per se?
I had to. They didn't pay for my second, third brain surgeries 4 months after the Super Bowl.
Well, I'm glad he did. I saw concussion. I saw how the league it was before all that.
So they told me I could still play. I'm back working out. Weird things are happening. I'm like, man, I don't know what they're not telling me, but something's, Then I started ending up in jail. I'd never been arrested in my life. I get arrested 3 times between my first brain surgery, September of 81, and my third brain surgery, May of 82. 8 months, I get arrested 3 times.
For what?
I'd go out and have a couple beers like we
Yeah.
did every night. And the next thing I know, it's 4, 5, 6, 7 hours later. I'm standing in jail, not passed out.
And you don't know what happened.
I have no idea how I even got there.
Yeah.
And what had happened was we had my new doc tested me right after that. My brother told him what was going on. And I drank 2 beers, and they did an EEG electrodes on my brain. And I was fine after 2 beers. Just from those 2 beers, though, man, I was having brain seizures, just electrical short circuiting. You know, my waves were all over, and they said, you can never drink. And I quit drinking in 82, and I've never had a problem.
Man.
And so I'm getting arrested, all this crazy. Then when I go see the docs after my third arrest, my neurosurgeon at Stanford, again, this is just 4 months after the Super Bowl. And I'm still on the team. I'm supposedly still playing. And I told him, hey, man, something's happened. Oh, not for my surgery. I said, well, you know, I've been drinking since I was young. And he says, and so he goes, I told him, I said, I'm leaving for Mexico tomorrow to go fishing with my brother, Mel, and his wife. We were going to rent a little cabin on the beach and go fishing for a few days. They do a brain scan. He says, you look fine. Go ahead and leave the country. I said, what about drinking? No problem. We fly down to Cabo.
Oh, man.
That night, I have 1 margarita at dinner. I start getting pounding headaches. I told Mel and Nancy, I'm going to head back to the room. We were just sharing the room.
Yeah.
I go back to the room. Last thing I remember is I'm puking. My guts out. My eyesight's going again. My head's exploding. And they come in 2 or 3 hours later. I'm going into a coma. I'm wandering around the room, eyes dilated, can't speak. And I was big back then too. I was like Lenny in Of Mice and Men. My brother used to tell me.
Okay.
I'm stumbling around. So Mel, they call, and my sister-in-law was a pharmacist. They call in a doc. They don't even know what the hell he gives me.
Yeah.
Now my brother Mel is calling my brother Bob in Sacramento. Bob's calling an orthopedic surgeon friend of his, Dr. Agee. Agee's calling a neurosurgeon friend of his in Sacramento. The neurosurgeon, Dr. Cobb, is telling Dr. Agee, your friend is dying. Do not let him operate. His shunt is out. Do not let him operate in Mexico. Get him home. Bob calls Mel. You got to get him home.
How'd they get you home in that state?
Well, get this. So for the next 18 months of my life, everything I'm telling you is all secondhand. I have zero memory of the next 16, 18 months of my life. Zero.
Now, how many brain surgeries did you have? I got to wrap it up here in a few minutes, but this is an interesting story.
I had 9 in 12 years.
You had 9 in 12 years.
Yep.
And how did you keep from falling into a state of depression?
The pit?
Drugs and alcohol.
You know,
how did you beat all that?
I was raised, with a very strong faith in God. Yeah. And I mean, I knew He had a plan for me.
Amen.
He gives crosses to those who can bear them. I was in some very, very dark times for many, many years. But I knew if I stayed on the path, things would work out. And, we just kept crunching. We won on my work comp case in 86. I had creditors on me for years. I was the first NFL player to ever win a work comp case.
Okay.
They offered me $35,000. I told them to shove it. I said, I want my past medical left open. I want my past medical paid. I want my future medical left open. And I can no longer function as an employee of the NFL. I don't call myself a player. I was an employee. I said, you're obliged by law to retrain me in a field of work. It's called vocational rehab. Yeah. So I went back to school. Now I'm in Sacramento State to finish my biology degree that I had studied 4 years for at Colorado. Yeah. 4 more semesters of chemistry, 2 of physics, 2 of pre-calc left. In one 10-month period, I have 5 more emergency brain surgeries, several grand mal seizures while I'm taking those courses. Took me 5 more years. I was 32 years old when I graduated. Okay. Started work as a wildlife biologist. That shunt went out in 93. Had my 9th brain surgery. Then it just started legal battles from 2014 till 19 when I settled my case. We had to beat the Travelers, the 40 work comp carrier, in 5 work comp hearings 8 work comp appeals, and 3 times it took me clear to the California Court of Appeals to keep me from getting into treatments.
Wow.
I fought physically, emotionally.
You teach biology now? What do you do now?
I did I actually taught high school biology, chemistry, environmental studies, and English language learners algebra for a couple, 2 or 3 years. And then I went back to wildlife biologist, and then I had an environmental consulting firm for many years. And now, since about 2011, I have a brain injury consulting business called the Visger Group.
Okay.
And so I speak all over the country on brain injury recovery, non-pharmaceutical treatments. I was on 4 different dementia. In 2010, they had me on 4 different dementia meds, anti-seizure pills, sleeping pills. I couldn't find my way home from work. I was a mess. I got into hyperbaric.
You're a survivor, man. Dang.
I got into hyperbaric oxygen treatments, high dose through Dr. Barry Sears. I started taking high dose omega-3 fish oil, 16 to 18 grams a day.
Okay.
Natural antioxidants like cranberry juices. After my 160th hyperbaric treatment, my neurocog memories had improved 14.3%. Now I was in my late 50s, and I quit all my dementia meds.
So you think you got CTE?
You know what? Even Dr. Omala, who's on my advisory panel and a close friend of mine, says, you have it. And I said, you know what? I'm sure I do, but I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I'm fighting and you know what? I'm better now than I was 30 years ago.
We sound good.
I am better now than I was 30
You're still in
years.
shape. You're still lifting weights and stuff, I can tell.
Just got back from the gym a little bit ago. I'm down to I was 275 playing. I'm like 209 now.
Yeah.
I boned out a bear I shot the other day and made a big bear stew for
Did
dinner
you really?
tonight. Oh, yeah. I do.
You live out in Colorado?
We're in Idaho now.
Oh, that's right, Idaho. Yeah. I saw it.
So I'll do 7, 8, 9 a day backpack deer hunts in the middle of nowhere, and I stay in shape for my hunts and stuff, and it's good for your mind.
Yeah, they should make a movie about your life. It's interesting, George.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, just
I'll
finishing the biology
book,
degree.
by the way.
Yeah, it's all in there. There's just a ton in there. It's a pretty wild story, but it's a good story too, because it was the David versus Goliath, and we stood toe to toe with those bastards, and we kicked them in the teeth, and they paid their bills like they should have.
Yeah.
And they ended up.
I love it. I know it's bad. You don't follow it no more, do you?
Nah.
But
I follow my Buffs. Been back a couple games in the last few. I've always stayed close. I have about 8 my old Colorado Buffalo teammates from the 70s.
You like Dion?
You know what? When they first hired him, I'm like, how is this going to work? I tell you what, and he invited a bunch of the alumni out for a game his first year. There was 200 something of us, and we had 33 guys from my Orange Bowl team.
Oh, nice.
My team is incredibly tight.
Yeah.
And man, we're looking around going, you know what? He's the real deal.
Yeah.
Disciplined, focused, no screwing around, man. These kids are there to get an education, to play ball. I tell you what, he does a hell of a job, man.
And he's been sick too. Hopefully he'll be okay.
Yeah. But no, I went in thinking, wow, how's this going to work? No, he's the real deal.
That's good to hear. That's
100%
good to hear.
Behind him. Yep.
So it's called Facing the Giants. When do you think this will be out? You're saying July-ish?
It's going to be out into this month.
Okay.
They're doing the final. It's called Facing Giants, my 38-year battle. So the 3 giants I had to face were hydrocephalus, the $19 billion NFL, and the $26.3 billion Travelers.
Wow.
38 years we went toe-to-toe with those guys, and we knocked them in the teeth.
That's good to hear. It's good to hear the everyday person win,
Just, what, and I was a nobody in the NFL. I was a little blue-collar kid, just, scratching to make a team. And I saw it was my dream,
Yeah.
And
the fact that you went back to school, though, and got your degree and got to teach, and you didn't feel sorry for yourself, you didn't commit suicide. A lot of people would going through all these surgeries.
I'm telling you, I've lost several very close friends that I worked with. June 2nd of this last year.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm out fly fishing Silver Creek, Idaho, with one of my Colorado teammates.
Okay.
Rodeo Bo McCabe, who's coming over in just a little bit for some bear stew. He was with me when we got the bear. He had a stroke a few years ago with me. He struggles. We're out fly fishing. I get a phone call from one of my Pop Warner high school teammates back in Stockton, California.
Yeah.
Mark Davis. Hey, Marky Poo, how you doing, brother? I hear the strange voice. No, George, this is Sean, his son. And I'm thinking, I've never met Sean. He says, my dad hasn't been answering the phone, and I came over here. He killed himself.
Oh, man.
He's sitting in his chair with his phone in his hand. He's trying to call you. Now, I've been working with Mark for 4 years.
Oh, my God.
He kept calling me going, hey, Fisk, my brain's effed up. My brain's. I said, so was mine. This is what I do. Okay. Go back a few years prior. Okay. Jason Harrison. Jason Harrison played 1 year on the 49ers practice squad, like in 95.
Okay.
1 year on the Broncos practice squad, 96. Like 15 years after, went on. He's a big-time hunter fish. Went on and found a Sitka gear, built that into a multi-million-dollar business, sold it, then founded Kuyu, out hunting, top-of-the-line hunting stuff, right?
Yeah.
And several years ago, and we hunted together, and several years ago, out of the blue, he called me and told me he took a shotgun to bed with him the night before.
Man.
And I turned around, I drove down, I met him at the hyperbaric clinic in Sacramento, introduced him to my buddy Mike Greenholm, my brother, I call him, who treated me. I said, you're not going down that rabbit hole. And I got really busy with legal battles, and I'm living at Center for Neuroskills about 2 or 3 years later. And one of my nephews called and said, Uncle George.
Yeah.
Jason took a shotgun to bed with him last night and blew his brains out.
Yeah. Well, think about Junior Seau, you know?
Junior, now Terry Totola, my roommate in the Niners. That was Junior's cousin.
Okay.
Check and see what Terry was like when I found him living under an underpass in 2011. This game destroys your mind.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Do you think they'll ever fix it? I mean, I know they got new helmets now, and they've changed the kickoff rule.
If you go to when they hired Dr. Rich Ellenbogen like in 2010 as the new brain injury guy, and I didn't know who in the hell he was. All I know is if he was with the NFL, he was my enemy. So I posted a message to him on Dave Pear's blog. Pear was an All-Pro defensive tackle with the Raiders, and he got chewed up and thrown around. And so I post this letter, dear Dr. Ellenbogen, I pray you're not another paid whore, but NFL owners, blah 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 blah. I hope you do the right thing. So anyway, he calls me. Yeah, and we go back and forth, not fun at first, and then we end up building up a great relationship. And then later on, he came to me his first year while he was the head of their mild traumatic brain injury group. Okay. And he asked me for suggestions to reduce brain injuries in football. I sent him 5 pages, and Sports Digest got a hold of my recommendations in maybe 2010. And there's an article you can Google, the Visger Rules Sports Digest, and you can go through all these recommendations I gave, and every year 1 or 2 more they're implementing. And,
nice. So you are making a difference.
You know, I said shorten up the kickoff. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things I put in there.
Yeah.
You know, one of my recommendations was start all linemen in a 2-point stance. So you're not leading with your head. It's all pass blocking and position blocking, you know? Yeah. I had a lot of stuff in there that
makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, doing a 2-point versus a 3-point.
But my last suggestion to him, and I said, here's a suggestion. I said, which I know you'll never do. You want to reduce brain injury in football, get rid of helmets. Yeah. They teach you every play, you lead with your face, you stick your face in the numbers, you know, you use your brain as a weapon to hit people. Yeah. And I don't know why.
What about leather helmets? Well, back to leather helmets, George.
You know, so now they have all these fancy dancy helmets, but the bottom line is it's all physics. You have guys that are 290 pounds running 4.6 40s.
Yeah, big time.
The kinetic energy they generate is ungodly. And so you have that brain moving at 4.6 40, and when you hit, the helmet may stop. That brain, it's encased in fluid. It sloshes around, and it bounces off the front of the skull. The back is called counter coup injuries. Yeah. So when it's sloshing, your neurons are stretching, And that's why, and those neurons get inflamed and they start dying off early. And that's why NFL players have a 4 times higher rate of Lou Gehrig's disease, a 3.5 times higher rate of Parkinson's disease. We have a 3 times higher rate of early onset dementia, which I've been diagnosed with.
Okay.
I could go on and on and on.
Really? You got early dementia now?
I was diagnosed with dementia in 2010. I was told to turn in my driver's license, file for disability, and get my finances in order. And I was running I had a small environmental consulting business. I had 3 young kids. I said, what are you telling me? The doc says, well, George, you'll never get any better. And I said, really? I went down to Dr. Amon's clinic for a 3-day neurocog evaluation.
Okay.
So this isn't just me talking. I was in my late 50s, so I have baseline data. Amon recommended hyperbaric oxygen treatments. I went back, and I was living in we were homeless. I lost my home. I ended up sleeping in the hyperbaric clinic for 2.5 years. Yeah. My kids and wife moved in with her mom. It was a nightmare. And so after every 40 hyperbaric, and then I connect with Dr. Barry Sears, another one of my angels. Out of the blue, this guy hears about me. He has MedWell Health. He starts shipping me gallons of his top of the line purified omega-3 fish oils. Okay. Which are great for ameliorating inflammation in the brain, repairing neurons. So I started doing like 16 to 18 grams a day of fish oil. I was doing hyperbaric oxygen treatments. After every 40 hyperbarics, I would go back down to Amon's clinic and undergo a 7-hour neurocog evaluation. After my 160th hyperbaric treatment, and I'm pushing 60 years old at the time, my neurocog memory scores improved 14.3%, and I'd quit all the damn dementia meds they had me on. Wow. And to this day, I take one tiny little dose of a Boost Bar. I mean, that's it.
That was 15 years ago.
Yep, exactly.
That's a miracle in its own right there.
It is. And I do natural antioxidants. I keep in shape. I do memory games. I work my brain like a muscle. I pray, I meditate. Yeah. We eat healthy. And I tell you what, man, I'm 67 years old now.
Yeah. They girls my dad's age. Yeah.
In 2010, they told me to pack it in.
Yeah. A lot of people don't make it too long after that dementia.
No. I'm going to kick its ass like we did the Travelers in the NFL.
Yeah. Hey, that's great. George, how do you say your last name? Visker?
Visker.
Visker. Okay.
Yeah, it's not something like a Z. It's Visker.
Okay. You know what? I'll send you a copy of this. I'll edit this probably between today and tomorrow, just of our interview there, George. And I appreciate you making it, man.
Hey, I'm glad I was able to make it on. I didn't want to leave you hanging.
Oh, that's all right. That's okay. I know you told me you had all those surgeries and stuff. And something may have happened, man.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll try to bring you back on. I'm going to order that book, and maybe we'll talk about it afterwards. I'll have some more questions.
Let's do it. Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, buddy. I'm going to give you this round of applause. Thanks, buddy. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you, bud.
All right. All right. Hello, everybody. Now, tomorrow, I know I'm running over, but I'll be back with the Mad New Yorker. If you like the show, share the show. Great stuff. Man, George, what a great interview. I'm glad I forgot him in there. But anyways, we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place here on the Real Sports Scope.